Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. We're Josh and Taylor Ray, and this is Sacred Story Collective.
Since 2019, we've been helping and encouraging couples prepare for their weddings and capture those sacred moments through photo and video. We began this podcast to continue serving you, whether you've already said I do or that day is still to come.
Each week, we are here to strengthen Christian marriages, to fill Christian homes, to restore a Christian nation. We're glad you're here. Welcome to Sacred Story Collective. Thanks for joining us. Today is going to be a simple one, because if you are prepared for marriage, then you are prepared for children.
Period.
So, that's a wrap.
Done. Episode over. Okay, you know what's really awesome is that this morning, just kind of randomly, but was it the Lord? I was thinking about the verse, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Mm-hmm. And I didn't remember that it was in Psalm 127. Mm-hmm. I was just thinking about that verse and thinking about like, wow, that is really about families and children. And like, I didn't even remember that it was in this passage.
You are a prophet, my lady.
I feel like that's kind of embarrassing to say that I didn't remember it. Well, but I just thought that was cool. When I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, what are the odds? That's so crazy. But I felt like emotional thinking about that verse this morning. Like it was just in my mind as I was getting in the shower, and made me think about our family and our miracle adoption story and this beautiful pregnancy after 6 years of waiting, and all the things that we did for my health, for both of our health, to get pregnant, and how much work that was, how much money we spent on supplements and things. And we could have done all of that and it would have been in vain if the Lord wasn't the one to build our family.
Yes.
So it just made me emotional thinking about it this morning, and then boom,
right
there it is.
Amen to that. It's so good. I love that you're saying that for multiple reasons, but one is that initially when I put it on these notes, I only started at verse 3. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, and on from there. And then I was looking, and I read the whole psalm, by the way. Oh yeah, I didn't even say that it was.
Oh, Psalm 127?
Yeah, that's Psalm 127 in the intro. Maybe I don't know.
No,
it's
fine.
Okay. But Psalm 127 only has those 5 verses. And so I was going to put just 3, 4, and 5, and then I was looking back at building the house and watching the city. And why would you build a house if not to fill it with a family? And why would you watch over the city if there wasn't those worthwhile of protecting within the city? So it all links together. I didn't need to take 40% of 6 sentences out.
Yeah, when it matters.
Yeah, so relevant. And then down later on, like this is certainly one of the most cited verses in relation to this topic of having children. And what a beautiful thing that they're a heritage from the Lord, a gift. Again, let's add another verse here. Proverbs 17:6 says, in the NIV it says grandchildren, and in the ESV it says children's children are the crown of the aged, and the glory of children is their fathers. I wanted to attach also the children's children, because I appreciated the recognizing that the child was, the original child was a gift, and then you've doubled the gift in the grandchild. Yeah. So I thought there was something lost ever so slightly in the going straight to grandchildren.
Yeah, I also like children's children. I don't know, the connotation of that I think sounds more vague, as in like maybe even multiple generations. Like I can just imagine it being children's children, children's children, children, and continuing on, which I think is not lost in that. And why it's important to think about not just your immediate comfortability and the things that you want, but to think about the generations of your family when you're doing your family planning, quote unquote.
Yeah. Amen. Truly. That's why there's that section in the 10 Commandments each time. So this is straight up. There's some understanding of the 10 Commandments as the 10 listed out just as single sentences. But in both I think there's 3 separate times. I'm pretty sure that the Ten Commandments are listed in Exodus, reiterated in Numbers, and then again in Deuteronomy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically the exact same each time because they're just declaring the law
Right.
to the people. So it's recorded once again in history. But there is the first commandment with the promise is honor your father and mother, that it will go well with you in the land. I'm just what I'm getting towards is that there is additions to some of the commandments. They're not just single sentences. So
Right.
the having no other gods, lowercase g, like your God is a jealous God, and it says he will place cursing to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who deny his commandments. That's a little bit of my own phrasing, but you get the idea. And then blessing to the 1,000th generation of those who love him and keep his commandments.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to that because there's an assumption of 1,000 generations inherent in that, and then remembering that you just every preceding generation is a blessing, and that you are a facet of that. So you can, in your either just ignorant passivity or intentional wrath, you can put a stop to your family line at any point by choosing that you are the peak and there's no reason to go on from here. But we don't get to do that as Christians.
No.
So the purpose of today's episode, we've done that question, basically the answer that I started with today. If you're ready for marriage, you're ready for children.
Yeah.
We've done that in detail as its own episode, but there's some degree of it that goes here because it's important since this is premarital prep for having children. So really, what are the questions you need to ask and discussions you need to have? But most of all, what I want to address today is what is the perspective that we need to have and carry as Christians, seeing children as blessings.
Yeah. It's a topic I try to casually bring up during like engagement sessions and such, of like, oh, what are your guys' perspectives on this? And try to just kind of poke holes or ask questions if they maybe don't share this mindset and they're Christians. Or just get to share with them, at the very least, I share with them the joy and delight of being a parent and raising up children to know the Lord. And we should all be doing that. Just like marriage, we need to know that what our family looks like is a light to the world of what Christ is like. And so we want to be really intentional about how we speak about our children as well as our spouse. But I also love asking if we're ever in a season where we're getting to disciple or mentor a younger person or a couple, then especially as they're approaching marriage, asking them, do you think that you can be ready for marriage and not ready to have children? And then challenging them if they push back on that, because all of the things that are expected of you as a spouse are expected of you as a parent. And so that selflessness, that servant-heartedness, and all those things, if you're not ready to do that as a parent, then you're not ready to do it as a spouse. And then also, it's one of the purposes of marriage, which is clear in the Bible. So it's important that we don't intentionally neglect that for long periods of time.
Mm-hmm. I would argue that it is the second most important, but it's a very close second, in that our marriages are designed, maybe I'd have to put it third. I hadn't considered my rankings here before this, but
I'm interested.
You've got, first off, is that you're representing Christ in the church.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Doing your utmost to reflect that well, that's first place. Second place would be to avoid isolation, because you've entered into the commitment together. So it's, the man was not supposed to be alone.
Right.
So it's good for you to be together and to have that relational union. And then third is the intimacy, the sexual intimacy that's inherent in marriage, because it comes immediately after you commit to the covenant of marriage. The sexual intimacy comes, which binds you together, but it also promises new life.
Yeah.
And so to break that off permanently, like add infinite, not have an ending place for that. And even so, we'll argue, like, I'll leave a slight room for, if you're currently in a war zone, if you're currently in serious health issues where it's uncertain how much time you have left, like there's options for delaying having children.
In
things
that we've talked about.
I
I think in that episode we talked about like the only real justifiable reasons to wait to like to say that you can't or have to stop, like that you have to prevent having children for any length of time would be serious health issues, both physical and mental, like serious mental health issues. Not I'm feeling kind of anxious, like stop it, get some help. But if it's like serious mental health issues, then you should also like get help. And that, so whether it's physical or mental, those health concerns need to be addressed so you can then experience the full joy of marriage, which is bringing in children, if that's within your control. Because again, we experience infertility. Sometimes that's not something that you can control, but then we have the gift of adoption as well. So anyway.
So far as the Lord wills, that's it's always implied in anything that's within our control, because he is beyond our control. So we do our utmost with what he gives us.
And his will is better than ours, but we should make every attempt to align our will with his. And so there's like this, I still struggle to explain this well, but we can look at scriptures like Psalm 127, or in Genesis, be fruitful and multiply. We can see these depictions of God's will for his people are to have like these married Christian couples to worship God and make children, raise them up to know the Lord. Like that is God's will for his children. But there's like specific will that he has for specific people in their life, that it is for our good and his glory in ways that we don't understand, that it might not be his will that you would get pregnant, for example.
Yeah, there's certainly evidence of suffering that is not directly explainable in this lifetime, but in that we're just committed to trusting in the Lord. I've talked to some other gals who struggled with infertility, and they felt like, well, God's not giving me a child, and so that's not what God wants for me, and so it's selfish of me to want to get pregnant. And I really try to gently rebuke that, I guess, and just say like, it's not selfish to desire children, especially if your desire for children is to raise them up to know the Lord, to raise disciples. Like that is God's heart for all of his people. But may that be his exact will for your life? I don't know. But seeking that is not a selfish thing. We don't want to seek anything more than we seek after Christ. But so like if it's become an idol, then there's sin, but it's not sinful or selfish to desire children when that's what God says for us to do. So. Yeah. It would only be sinful if you said, the Lord's not giving me a child, I'm now prepared to deny him.
Right.
So that would be the extreme of that.
Sure.
Something you said earlier just perfectly would be accentuated by this quote that I got from when I was looking at the Psalm 127 commentary earlier. Check this out. So this is quoted by Spurgeon, but it's a different theologian that said the story. It says, I remember a great man coming into my house at Waltham, and seeing all my children standing in order of their age and stature, he said, These are they that make rich men poor. But he straight received this answer, Nay, my lord, these are they that make a poor man rich. For there is not one of these whom we would part with for all of your wealth.
That's beautiful.
Oh, it's gold.
What did that connect? What did I say that connect to that?
I can't remember now.
Me neither.
You have to go back.
But that was great. That's way better
ago.
than anything I just said.
It's so good. This is the children are always blessings, never burdens.
Yeah.
Actually, let's use that to talk about the what if I don't think I'm ready, real quick. So you got the most common ones. The first two are basically related, which would be, well, money is broadly the most common. Like we have to have a certain amount of money, which also might be we have to live in a house or have some sort of specific housing that you have in mind. And I guess kind of related, but this one's, you can easily convince someone this is not a good excuse, but traveling is also a related monetary
just like life
kind of
experience.
Excuse.
Like I want to go and do these things. I want to live. Yeah.
So what if you are currently weighing those as legitimate excuses? These are going to be simple answers. I think we talked each of these in more detail in that previous episode. But on the money front, if you are afraid of how much the child costs, children will always cost as much as you can afford. Yeah. And also
barring some like crazy medical emergency things.
And then that's interesting because there's an inherent procedure in our culture of like medically where you provide life-saving support to someone and you don't question their current, like their financial status. So you might end up with the medical procedure necessary is going to take place if the life of a child is threatened. Afterwards, you might be dealing with serious financial burdens, but our society is set up so as to try and help protect your child. The financial afterwards, Lord willing, you have some sort of community. And then one big benefit of us just being so connected in general is that we have things like Give, Send, Go.
Yeah.
Whatever the other one's called. Same thing. GoFundMe.
I love that you knew Give, Send, Go, but you didn't know GoFundMe.
Well, we used one.
We used Give, Send, Go when we adopted Lucy Ray, yeah.
So with that, people are willing to help and be there for one another, even over great distances. So you're just able to reach out to much more people. So by the Lord's grace, that can be, you can be benefited from that. But also, there's not an assumption. Don't assume you're outside the rule.
Yeah.
You don't have a child assuming you're going to have extreme medical issues. So it may come, and that may be necessary for your sanctification.
Yeah.
That has to end up being the perspective. Like, Lord willing, that would not be what we are walking into in the future, but we don't know. And so whatever suffering is to come, I have to surrender it to the Lord, knowing that I need that. But on the money, so you're going to think, oh, but kids eat so much. No, they're
not until they're teenagers. Like, this is a long
Yeah, you've got time
away.
to prepare for that.
Yeah.
Stock up on Hot Pockets, get some extra freezers.
Let me just say, Hot Pockets, who are you?
The teenagers,
Oh,
they're hungry.
You're right.
Ravenous.
Homemade Hot Pockets. Avoid the processed food.
Please, that's
Anyways,
all
the one thing I see people say so much on the internet, don't have kids unless you set aside a blueberry budget or like a fresh fruit budget. And that, I don't understand that, because we just buy frozen blueberries and frozen fruit, and it's so cheap and organic from Costco. And
it never goes bad because you eat it all.
Yeah, and also it's in the freezer. So yeah, I just don't understand. We do not spend hardly any money on food for Lucy Ray. The only time we do is when we decide to go a little crazy at Costco and get the That's It bars and stuff. But that's totally a choice. Like, we don't need to.
Social media is full of a lot of lies for the sake of attention.
Yeah.
So
Consumerism and stuff.
we're here to put some of that straight.
Yeah.
The food costs very little, especially, and like formula can be a cost, but hopefully you can breastfeed and have that glorious goodness of God's design as well.
I'm so looking forward to that, Lord willing. That's a great experience. But I'm so excited because I didn't get to do that with Lucy Ray, and we did have to get formula. But we also got a ton of donated breast milk, so we only paid for like half of her milk. So that was a huge blessing.
And diapers will be some expense, but all this is just going to be repetitive if I keep doing this. None of the expenses, they're overblown in your mind. Just like the sleep deprivation is overblown in your mind. It's going to be a brief season. It will go so fast, and the child will always be worth more than any cost you had to spend. And it will also, having children will stop you from buying unnecessary things as well, because you will have to actually invest something worthy in the raising the life and pouring into a tiny disciple of Christ. So it's incomparable. So don't do the money excuses. Having a specific space. Like, I talked to a girl recently who's traveling around with her husband, and like Taylor Ray insinuated, this is probably our most broached subject with people we don't really know. Just, if we're going to talk about something important, let's go.
Hey, but recently I saw a girl from our old church at a baby shower who is pregnant. It wasn't her baby shower. And we were talking, and the longest conversation I've ever had with her was when we were sitting at a wedding next to her and her husband. And we were just they had not been married very long. And we were like, so kids, you guys gonna, and I know that sounds so annoying. You guys might be listening to this and thinking, wow, they are insufferable people, but it's fine. We have friends. It's okay. It's fine.
If the parents are too scared to do it, we're going to do our best to take that place for them.
Mom and dad. Perfect. That's what everybody wants. But anyways, it sounds insufferable, but here we are a year later, and she's like well into her second trimester, and she said that we were some of several people who, without prompting, brought up to them, don't wait to have children. And they took that and listened to these, and like, not just us, like, I will not take full credit for it by any means, like, but that there was multiple people who were like, you know what, I'm going to say something, I'm going to ask a question that other people might think is uncomfortable to ask. And she said they felt convicted, and they're so excited to have a baby, and it's so great. And then she and I were also ganging up on the girl who got married at the wedding that we were at, she was there too, and we were like, so have a baby now. It's been a year. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point to remind people is that no matter what, you've got the basic software is a 9-month wait, no matter what. If one of your excuses is us having time together, which I'll come back to real quick, because what you're talking about, one is that I do think we do it well. We have a lot of practice at this point of bringing this up to people. So we do it gently, lovingly. We ask questions. We're not just berating them. But why I think it's important is with how many weddings we're involved in, is we've heard plenty of parents say, "No rush." There's certainly some level of a relational fear involved in saying something about how they want to have grandchildren.
Yeah.
We gotta get past that as a culture.
I love every once in a while when a parent at a wedding is just straight up like, we're excited for the grandchildren. Josh and I are like, let's go! Give them grandchildren. Yeah. They're children's children. It's a beautiful gift.
Yeah, amen. And there's questions that fit in a similar category, but what you reminded me of that I want to say is, and it's been too long since I've quoted C.S. Lewis, it feels like.
Sure.
So C.S. Lewis has this thing about, and it's going to be a major paraphrasing, but about your soul not remaining stagnant. You're either becoming a more heavenly being or a more hellish creature. Mm-hmm. So the two options of you bringing that, so either you could talk about nothing of importance, or you could discuss this with somebody, or what's your perspective on having children, and it will either drive them towards, wow, I hadn't really considered.
Yeah, which is usually what happens.
Yeah, and like we've had multiple women or couples be thankful in coming back of, I'm glad that you were a part of putting this in my mind. So praise God for that. But either you are set free from just what's probably some sort of apathy of no consideration. Like, we're just going to wait 5 years to have kids. There's just a generic cultural acceptance of that kind of thing. Either you're going to overcome that and consider, and then do, if as far as in your control, have children sooner, or you're going to go towards, no, they're not going to tell me what to do, and it's going to harden your heart, and then Lord willing, this is like I give them up to Satan in 1 Corinthians 5, give them up to Satan that he might see the error in his ways and come back to the Lord. So it's kind of that thing. It's actually consider, like, don't be the J.C. Ryle, don't be destroyed for a lack of thinking. That's the purpose of having legit and important conversations.
And that can be a literal, like, physical thing of being destroyed, like us going on hormonal birth control. I was just telling somebody this in a voice memo. We were talking about fertility stuff, how I had an irregular cycle before you and I met. And then, I kid you not, you guys, Josh and I started dating, and then next month I started getting regular cycles, and they were less painful, and like my body was figuring it out. It was crazy. It was the Lord told my body, oh, this is the man we got to make babies with. And it seemed like, based off my cycle, that it was much healthier. And then I got on the pill a few months before we got married, because that's what everyone said to do and that we should do because we were so young.
And don't do that.
And then I was on it for a year, felt awful, got off of it, went 9 months without a cycle, had it one, and then went 6 more months without a cycle, and started going to a new naturopath and began our fertility journey. And that was horrible. So I reflect on that a lot. What would our family look like if we never got on hormonal birth control? But the Lord is sovereign and good, and he uses our sin and our mistakes. So I don't look back with like regret, because I love our family and how it is and how the Lord used it. But I very much pray that people hear this and run from the pill and those things that are so harmful towards your body. Also, IUDs are not non-harmful to your body. Like, yeah. Okay. Anyways, moving on. But
we'll talk more in detail about that, the birth control, messing with your hormones later this year.
Okay, great.
Very important. But that is bouncing off that is a good time to say. Another thing that I saw in the commentary earlier was a different theologian saying that the quivers come in various sizes, and we've talked about this before. There was like a general size, it seems, but I think there's probably depends where you get it. That it would typically hold 4 arrows, and so basically the point is there's no all that's said is be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah.
And we can have fun saying multiply means you have to end up with more than you started with,
Yeah.
which it should, because
Yeah.
we're building towards Christendom. But obviously there's other factors at play. I just want to express that the basis of our argument mainly is to start, like to have that
Yeah.
first child sooner than later.
Yeah.
See what a blessing they are, and then deal with the implications from there, physically, emotionally, relationally, financially, all of that comes from it. But you will not regret having a child sooner. You will likely regret waiting long term if any issues are to take place,
Yeah.
which is tragic. So
Yeah.
that's what we are, by God's grace, speaking into today, to simplify it.
I sent you a video, I don't know if you saw it on Messenger, that I said GBF, Good, the Bad, the Funky. And I kind of feel like we should just do like a brief Good, the Bad, the Funky segment at the end of this, because it fits so good and it's really short.
Included in this episode?
Yeah.
Or okay, maybe so. I have a clip we have to go through
Oh,
also.
well, there you go.
We'll see. But here's, I think, basically my final stop here is that Christians don't, and it's very related, is Christians don't get to say, I could never bring a child into this world.
Yeah.
That's fearful. And it's also an assumption. So this is where this relates to the 1,000 generations thing, is we have a major problem with eschatology, perspective on end times. Because if your perspective is, I'm just waiting, so bear with me, because this is going to start out sounding poorly, but
Okay.
Jesus is coming tomorrow, and I'm saying that like it's a problem. Obviously it isn't, because we have to live equally that Jesus is coming tomorrow and I have 1,000 generations ahead of me, and I am a single point to prepare and to grow Christendom. But if you have the eschatological perspective that things are going to get worse and worse, and then Jesus is going to come put it all back together, so I'm just going to hide out, do my best to stay alive, not meddle in anyone's business, and everything's going to fall apart, and I'm just going to say, see, I told you so, I knew it was coming. Waiting for Jesus, though. I'm not evangelizing, waiting for Jesus. He's got it taken care of. So if you're doing that, we've got major problems. What we need to do is look forward without fear to what we can do to build the immediate generation, the children we have just before us, and to lead them to build the next generation so that it can cycle onward from there, and that blessing to 1,000 generations that God promises in the 10 Commandments. But if we have fear in anything besides fear of the Lord, like Proverbs, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Without that, we don't have understanding. But if we are seeking to honor the Lord, then we get to be set free from that, and we don't fear those that can destroy only the body, but we fear God and God alone.
Yeah.
We have to be set free from the worldly concerns. Where did I start this off?
With we can't have children in this world, or whatever it is.
I guess to make it quickly poignant, it's if you are living in this fearful mentality, you need to be seriously confronted with the fact that you might not be a Christian. If you are doing, I can't bring a child into this world, there's an expectation in that the world's going to influence your child more than your child has the potential to influence the world as a disciple of Christ. And that's not okay.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. It's crazy the number of posts that I've seen of people who have said not only, man, how are people bringing children into this world, but also saying that it's like selfish to bring children into this world. Oh, that like completely blows my mind. There's war, there's slavery, there's Epstein, there's all this stuff. How are you bringing children into this world? It's so selfish. And it's so crazy because, like, what if your child's the one to, be this incredible world leader who can help impact and bring about world peace, at least in some areas, in some countries? What if your child is the one that's going to figure out how to cure cancer? What if your child, like, your child's going to figure out saving the environment, like all this stuff that you're so freaked out about? The children are the future, and you want to kill them.
I'm pretty sure this is Ronald Reagan. I've noticed that everyone that's for abortion has been born.
Yeah.
Love that one, but also there's more C.S. Lewis in that hideous strength. He has that. It's just kind of a throwaway, but what's the wizard guy's name? Merlin. Yeah, Merlin.
I almost said
comes,
Mervin.
and Merlin sees Jane, the main character in that hideous strength, and he has a visceral rage just in taking note of her being present in the room, and she can't understand what he's saying because he's speaking in the ancient tongue with Ransom. But so they're having the conversation. He says, "Why is she here? Like her head should be sheared from her shoulders." And he says, "It's too late, but her offspring was supposed to be the one to bring peace to this land for a millennium, and she chose to avoid it." So there's this just light touch on her taking the birth control, taking the avoidance of the children into her own hands, and the implications that she never sees, doesn't have an awareness of how massive it is.
Yeah.
So what can I actually control? This is basically my final stop, is my favorite math, that it's 1-to-1. So if you don't take anything else, take this with you. I love it, and spread it. With regards to having children, if I have this inherent, there's this. I think we've mentioned this before, and we'll go into more detail at a different time. But the idea of family planning, which is what abortion clinics oftentimes call themselves, family planning centers, has seeped so deeply into even Christian understanding. So that's what the last few generations were, where you have this this kind of fearfulness. How could I bring a child into this world? So I have 1 or 2 children. That way it's not financially burdensome, and things are simple, or whatever the explanation may be. But you have these generations with that mindset. And so you end up with, not only in the quote secular culture, but in the church culture, saying, yeah, you guys have to get to know one another. You're going to wait. How long are you guys going to wait to have children? 3 to 5 years. I think that's what I most often hear is, well, we'll wait a few years, maybe 5 years, something like that. So you've got this arbitrary, baseless number in your head, just because. And you say you're going to do that. So let's just go with the 5-year number. Surprise. Just came in here to interrupt myself as I was finishing off this episode, and I remembered at this very moment I started rambling, confusing myself, geometry, equations, all over the place. So to simplify things, I've made this little whiteboard chart. You may or may not be able to see, but I'll explain it anyway. What I went into here in way too many words, so you'll be blessed with missing out on that, is you have the as soon as possible category and the wait 5 years category. On the as soon as possible side, if you get married at 20 years old, you start trying to have children right away. Let's say you have a child at 22, and you repeat that pattern. You convince, and for the simplicity of it, you repeat that. Your children do the same, your grandchildren do the same. You have a child at 22, grandchild at 44, great-grandchild at 66, still got some life left in you, and possibly reach a great-great-grandchild, because that would be around 88 if that pattern repeats. Now on the other side, we've got the I'll wait 5 years. So let's say you had the potential to get married around 20, but you applied that logic, I'll wait 5 years, pushed it out to 25. Then I'll wait 5 years. For the children, you start trying at 30. You have your first at 31. And for simplicity's sake, we repeat that pattern. 31 for your first child, 62 for your grandchild, 93. So maybe keep eating those Wheaties. Make it to 93 for a great-grandchild. I just drew a little dead stick man in the great-great-grandchild section. Obviously, that would be a high honor. Like, the gray hairs are to be esteemed. My own summation of a proverb there. But there's a blessing in each of these categories, no matter what. And the Lord provides the opportunity in any situation. But let's not take away. I mean, that's the purpose. I don't need to reiterate what we're already talking about here, but the last thing for me to point out is if you do this delay category, by the time you get to grandchild, you're looking at 44 versus 62 years old. That's an entire adult lifetime difference in where you're at having your first grandchild. So again, just consider the immensity of what may be given up by your own decision making. Back to it. I'm making this too complicated.
Yeah. It's okay. This is how you do math. It's fun to watch.
Let's simplify. If you delay 5 years and your child delays 5 years, you just gave away 10 years with your grandchild.
That's
I could have said it in one sentence from the beginning.
That's totally okay. But yeah, it's crazy. We're so focused on here and now and comfortability. You know what just popped into my mind is the photo that your mom showed me of your dad's friend Greg, who just passed away. Passed away at what, 55?
Yeah, mid-50s.
He got cancer, right? And
Yes,
and he
he
died.
had brain cancer.
And he had one grandchild, and then did they have twins? I forget.
Yeah.
There's two, and then his daughter, I don't know, he just had one more grandchild, and the Lord's sovereignty, that baby was born really early, like several weeks early, and she showed me this photo of this tiny little like 5-pound baby on his chest, and he died like a week later. And it's like, and this isn't like a critique on their family at all whatsoever, but I'm just imagining that, like, he got to meet a couple grandkids, and then he got to meet one time his tiny little brand new baby granddaughter that he only was able to meet because the Lord had her come early. And it's like, don't you want time with your grandchildren? Don't you want time watching your children raise theirs? Like, what a blessing grandchildren are. Ask this guy. He's so excited to be a grandpa, and we have a 2-year-old.
I've been waiting since I was her age to be a grandpa.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's the most beautiful thing. And you trade that off because you don't think about that long term. You don't think about what it will be like for your children to be raising their children and miss you so dearly because you were so old. and 55 isn't even that old, but you just don't know what your health is going to look like, what your abilities are going to be like when you're older. And so there's just this pride, and I think pride is a huge part of it. And just this like wrong idea of control that you have over your life, that I would really encourage you to lay down and submit to Christ and just seek his will because it's better than yours, and enjoy your life more fully by having children.
Yeah, amen. So far as it is in your control, do it in honor to the Lord. Don't try and take that on. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm thinking that we just do this has been plenty long.
Sure.
I'm thinking we just do the clip that I have and the clip you had as a
separate
GBF episode.
Okay, great.
Cool. Okay, send us your questions. Thanks for being here with us, everybody. And until next time, remember, Jesus loves you. Now go and sin no more.